Do you think cemeteries are just the final resting place for the dead? No. In the North Cemetery of Manila, Philippines, this place is not only the resting place for thousands of the deceased, but also the home where hundreds of families survive. It is one of the few communities in the world where the dead and the living coexist. Welcome to the Cemetery Village. Next, we will take you to explore the 10 most astonishing facts about the North Cemetery of Manila, each of which is shocking. Top 10. Over 1,000 people live in the cemetery long-term. The North Cemetery of Manila, built in 1904, is one of the oldest and largest urban cemeteries in the Philippines. It was initially built as an eternal home for the Filipino elite, with arched mausoleums, marble statues, stone pillars wrapped in grapevines, and stained glass windows. It is serene and solemn. However, since the 1970s, with the expansion of the city and the worsening of the gap between the rich and the poor people have flocked to the city. The living space in Manila has become increasingly tight, and people at the bottom have begun to look for all unclaimed spaces to settle down. And the cemetery, a place originally thought to only accommodate the dead, has become their last haven. At first, some people just set up plastic sheds to stay overnight or temporarily stay during the vigil for their relatives on festivals. But slowly, more and more homeless people built simple huts among the tombs, and even moved directly into abandoned mausoleums that no one had visited for years. Some tomb chambers are spacious, dry, and structurally strong, which are safer than the wooden sheds on the street. Over decades, this place has evolved from a temporary refuge into a graveyard village, with a complete community structure. According to the statistics of the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, the permanent population living inside the North Cemetery alone exceeds 1,000, and if the surrounding areas are included, this number may exceed 2,000. These residents have no official household registration, no public services, and even no legal protection. But they have lived here for generations, getting married, having children, and growing old. They are not ghosts, but marginalized people in real society, invisible people struggling to survive in the cracks of the city. Top 9. Some people rent out mausoleums as villas. In this place where death and survival coexist, an alternative real estate economy has even evolved. You heard it right. Some people renovate mausoleums and rent them out. The cemeteries of some wealthy families are built very gorgeously, with stone-carved gates, tiled floors, ventilation windows, and even two-story structures and small balconies. Since many tomb owners have not visited for years, or their descendants have long moved abroad, these cemeteries have become vacant resources. Gravekeepers, scavengers, or homeless people will first clean these unoccupied cemeteries and then sublet them to others who want to take shelter. The rent is usually 30 to 50 pesos per day, with a simple rain shielding function. For those who have no place to go, this is already a 5-star treatment. Some people set up stoves in front of the tombs to cook, hang clothes to dry in front of the mausoleums, and even install curtains and statues for the cemeteries, making the cold stone space seem to have a little vitality. What's more, they use old batteries or small generators to power the tomb houses, play video games, use electric fans, and charge mobile phones. From cemetery villas to death apartments, these seemingly absurd scenes actually hide the imbalance and trauma of a city. Top 8. Children in the cemetery live on graves since childhood. What is most surprising is the children born and raised in these graveyard villages. They have no household registration, have never been to kindergarten, and have never seen a school bag, but they can skillfully jump and run between the tombstones. They use tombstones as slides and urns as toy boxes. They help carry chairs and clean during funerals, and help people who come to sweep graves carry water and wipe tombstones during the Qingming festival. They are familiar with the terrain of the cemetery and can point out where there is shade and which tomb can be hidden at a glance. These children are born among graves and grow up beside coffins. They are not afraid because this is their world. They may never really get out of this cemetery in their lives, because once they leave, they will face another colder urban reality. No school is willing to accept them, no family can provide them with accommodation, and they have no place in the outside world. So they choose to stay in the pile of dead people and live a childhood that is like a ghost but real and painful. Top 7. There are even food stalls, barber shops, and mahjong parlors in the cemetery. Don't think that cemeteries can only be solemn and quiet. In some areas of the North Cemetery of Manila, you can even see the birth of street functions. Some people set up stoves in front of the tombs to fry bananas, eggs, and sell soda. Some people put out scissors and stools in the tombs to cut hair and shave for residents. What's more, several families put mahjong tables in the mausoleum halls, and there are mahjong games beside the tombs every night. Others install karaoke equipment in the sacrificial halls, and at night, the sound of Filipino pop songs mixed with the roar of electric fans comes. Children chase between the tombstones, and adults shake palm leaf fans and drink beer. In a sense, this is no longer a cemetery, but an informal settlement, with sarcophagi as the base. Everything here is gray and not recognized by the city, but it is the most real phenomenon of the lives of the bottom people in the Philippines. Top 6. They make a living by the death economy. Death here is not just an end, but also a source of income. Many residents of the cemetery work around the death industry. Some people specialize in carrying coffins and cleaning tombstones, and some help watch tombs, place candles, and collect incense ashes during the peak period of tomb sweeping. Some people will take care of the ancestral graves for rich families, including repainting the walls, repairing tiles, and even sweeping the graves on behalf of others and sending back photos, charging a symbolic fee. Among women, especially some young girls, they are forced to participate in accompanying guests, work, or provide special services during festivals or funerals. They are not willing to live like this, but they have no education, no resources, and no way to leave. This industry is both hidden and real, living in the cracks of the bottom society in the Philippines. Top 5. The design of residences in the cemetery is full of creativity. The residences here are the most alternative form of architecture in Manila. There are no drawings, no budgets, no permits, but they are full of the creativity of survival. When you walk into the depths of the cemetery, you will see planks laid on coffins to become beds, and plastic cloths pulled between tomb walls to become roofs. Some people use discarded advertising signs as walls, stack old tires to make stools, and some even transform the shells of scrap TV sets into storage cabinets. This is the self-made culture without resources. The decorative style of some tomb houses is quite unique. The whole tomb house is divided into 2 floors, with the upper floor as a bed and the lower floor as a kitchen and storage room. He covered the walls with posters of basketball stars, installed 2 old electric fans, and used the coffin lid as a dining table. He said with a smile, "Although we live in a pile of dead people, at least we have fans, which is more comfortable than the roadside." Some people even regard the cemetery as a balcony garden. The roofs of the tomb houses are full of peppers and green onions planted in foam boxes, irrigated by rainwater, self-sufficient. They also use mineral water bottles to make a rainwater collection system, and even irrigation has achieved environmental protection automation. You may think it's funny or even absurd, but there is no shame in their eyes, only the perseverance to strive for dignity in life. Top 4. The police and the government acquiesce in their existence. On the surface, these people are illegal occupiers. They have no property rights, no ID cards, no household registration books, and have not paid a penny of land tax. They live in public cemeteries, occupy government land, and should be driven away. But the reality is not so simple. For decades, the Philippine government has always turned a blind eye to this cemetery community. Why? The reason is surprisingly realistic. They can't clean it up. They have no way and no enough resources to completely resettle these people. You can drive them away, but they will sleep beside the highway tomorrow, a municipal official said helplessly in an interview. Because of this, the government has instead acquiesced in their continued existence. What's more subtle is that these cemetery residents also undertake certain responsibilities for the government. They have become spontaneous guards, responsible for preventing tomb robberies, cleaning the cemetery, and maintaining order during the peak period of ancestor worship. They even help manage the flow of people, guide parking spaces, and remind tourists to pay attention to safety during Halloween. What about the police? Their role is not clear. Some police officers will come to patrol during festivals and accept symbolic red envelopes or food from the owners of the tomb houses as safety fees. As long as there are no major incidents, petty theft, gathering to gamble, and even illegal power connections here are acquiesced. This is a social agreement not written into the law. Cemetery residents have become part of the city's operation in an informal way. They are illegal citizens, but maintain the most marginal part of the city. Top 3. The Qingming Festival is a golden peak season. Every year from November 1st to 2nd is one of the most important traditional festivals in the Philippines, All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. During this period, people from all over the country will return to their hometowns to sweep tombs and worship their ancestors. For the residents of the North Cemetery, this is the annual economic peak. These days, the whole cemetery becomes bustling, like a market opening. They call this period Graveyard Spring Festival. Cemetery vendors start setting up stalls as early as 4 o'clock in the morning, selling flowers, candles, drinks, and lunchboxes. Children hold signs to sell handmade ornaments while helping customers wipe tombstones, with services including cleaning, offering incense, and gilding epitaphs. Some tomb houses are directly transformed into rest stops to provide shade and a place to rest for people who come to sweep tombs, on the condition that you just buy some water or flowers. When there are many people worshiping ancestors, some people rent out their home power supplies to let visitors charge their mobile phones. Some tomb houses even provide karaoke services, where you can sing 2 songs for 50 pesos. The whole cemetery is as lively as a festival market, with the mixed smell of fireworks, food, and incense, which is completely different from the lifelessness you imagine. Top 2. There are also weddings and parties in the cemetery. You may find it hard to imagine that some couples actually hold weddings in the cemetery. No church, no cake, no wedding photographer, no orchestra. But 2 people in love stand in front of their ancestors' tombs, exchange promises, and share meals. Relatives and neighbors sit around the stone steps of the tomb, some playing the guitar, some singing Filipino folk songs. Children laugh and run. The smell of food comes from the pot, and colored ribbons and plastic flowers are hung on the mausoleum. This is a grave wedding. The reason is simple. They are too poor to rent a venue or afford a priest. But for them, as long as 2 people love each other and have relatives and friends to witness, such a wedding is solemn enough. Not only weddings, but also birthday parties, religious celebrations, baptism ceremonies, and even beauty pageants beside coffins are held here. From the outside world, this picture of celebrating in the land of death may be absurd, but for the cemetery residents, this is their whole life. Top 1. Every relocation plan ends in failure. The Philippine government has tried many times to drive these illegal residents out of the cemetery. In the past decade, the City Hall has promoted several cemetery clearance plans, issuing subsidies, building social housing, promising free resettlement, and arranging relocation convoys. But almost all actions ended in failure. Why? Because the reality is far more cruel than imagined. Although the houses outside are new, once you move in, you have to pay for water, electricity, transportation, and gas. Social housing is mostly built in remote areas, far from the city center, which means you have to commute for at least 2 hours a day and can't find a stable job. What about the cemetery? Although it is desolate and dark, it is free and close to the city center, where you can do temporary odd jobs, run small businesses, or even earn extra income during festivals. The cemetery is their slum, their workplace, their market, and their place of hope. It's not so much that they live in graves, as that they live in a gray space that the city is unwilling to admit. It's not that they don't want to change, but that they have no choice at all. In the North Cemetery of Manila, death is not an end, but a beginning. Tombstones are not the ultimate destination, but symbols of roofs, kitchens, beds, and livelihoods. In this rare cemetery community in the world, people do their best to maintain the dignity of life, even if there are coffins and urns beside them. They are the most real portrayal of the bottom society in the Philippines and the ultimate expression of human tenacity and desire to survive. This place is not just a cemetery, but another living world forgotten by the world.